All right, I'm trying this live option here because I'm lazy and haven't uploaded the images that I have completely cumbering my phone. I guess you other artists can probably relate. You take pictures of everything you find pretty whenever you're driving anywhere, or anything in the yard, and your phone fills up pretty quick. And it's just a step I need to take before I can ever make another video. So, again, just my laziness. But, okay, getting into the meat of this here. I wanted to address a question that somebody had recently about how I dry my paintings, oil paintings. So, oil paintings do take a long time to dry. Technically, if you have a thick area, quarter inch or sometimes much more than that, it can take 6 months or a year, or sometimes much longer. So it always just depends on how thick it is. So the oil paint, if you're an oil painter, you know this, of course, and if you don't, I'll just tell you. The oil paint on your palette is always going to form a little skin on it. I could show you that real quick because I'm sure that some of this, this black one is going to have a skin. So it's squishy on the inside, and to break through I'd have to pull that little skin off, which isn't ideal, but it can be used for a long time on the... Not sure if this is going to work. Okay, we're back on. All right, this is all an experiment. Not sure if live is going to work here, but anyway. So yeah, in a finished painting, the paint will do the same thing. It'll form a skin, and you want it to be technically all the way dry before varnishing it. And if you don't varnish, then it's no big deal. But of course, you want it to still be dry before giving it to the customer, or having it in a gallery or something. I mean, not always. I've seen plenty of artists that send completely wet paintings to galleries. They don't even have a skin, so I can imagine that means it was painted that day or the day before and just sent out because the gallery needed a painting from that artist. Anyway, so that's fine. You can do that. But to make this pretty quick, I'll just show you what I do. All right, you can see... Sorry, I'm completely unprepared for this because my phone is full of pictures, but also it's low on battery. So I had to untether here for my charger. So this is my solution, and this is only part of the solution, but I have lots of shelves around my studio. I just buy these. Oh yeah, here it is. These cheap shelf brackets, and here's like a used 1x12 that I made a shelf out of, and then over there is a shelf that I made myself out of 2 pieces of 1x4 lumber, and I just screwed them together. I screwed them together, one on top of the other, and then screwed that to the wall into the studs so that it's secure. And that's all I need, just 3.5 inches there. Go show you a little bit closer. Go on this side. I find that this is probably the simplest solution ever. So I've got a 1x4 there attached to a 1x4 on the back, and then just screw it to the wall. I didn't glue it or anything. Pretty much just the simplest, cheapest solution I could ever think of. And I just have one painting at a time just sitting against the wall, and that 3.5 inches down there is enough to hold it. These 3 paintings, these 4 or 5, whatever paintings that are up there, are all completely dry. They just happen to be there at the moment. Which is kind of silly of me because this one is completely wet, and instead of putting it on my shelf, I just put it on my other easel. Anyway, Oh, good. I'm getting some comments, which means this is working. Hello, thank you for watching, and thanks for the feedback. It's good to know that this is working. Okay, so I'll sit them there on the shelves usually to dry, and or as you can see, anywhere, and I have paintings everywhere. And then the next step in the drying process is I'll usually just frame them. Like this one, a family portrait that I recently completed. Now it's painted pretty thin. I'll just talk about this one for just a minute. There's no passage here that's more than I don't know, a 64th of an inch, we'll say. So that technically will dry all the way through in probably a matter of a month. But after it was dry to the touch, after being on the shelf for a few days in this case, I put it in a frame to, oh, my phone is, sorry, it's saying I'm low on battery. So I'm gonna plug it back in real quick. So I just stuck it in the frame, and there it's sat for a week or two to dry further. Now I do want to, since the client is going to hang this painting immediately, I'm assuming, so maybe it's for Christmas, I don't know. But since I'm assuming that they will not want to have me come back later to varnish it, I do prefer for it to be pretty much completely dry. And again, in this case, since it is thin, it probably will be dry enough to varnish. Have I varnished things that are not completely dry? Yes, and there is an option to do that. What you don't want to do is varnish a painting when it's like partially dry, but if it's still mostly wet, so you don't want to do it in the middle. So if this is completely wet, this is completely dry, you don't want to do it right in the middle, but you can do it like right after it's dry to the touch, or again, preferably all the way when it's completely dry, all the way through, because it can cause problems. But then again, a lot of our modern varnishes and modern paints do kind of hi to everyone who's watching live and is commenting. Thank you. But it again, with our modern things, it's kind of easier to get away with things like that. You can kind of rush the process a little bit, and it'll work just fine. One example that comes to mind is some people actually will varnish their paintings with a thin layer of liquid. That's completely mad if you ask the people who make liquid, because they don't warrant it for that purpose. But I know a lot of artists that do it, so that's one good way to get away with it. You can liquid a dry to the touch painting, and it'll actually just help the painting dry. But don't take my word for it. Do that if you want to risk your painting. But again, I know a lot of professional artists that do it. So, okay, so a lot of ways to get away with it. A lot of ways to dry the paintings, while you're painting other things. Oh, and going back to what I just said, get away with it, meaning like a lot of ways to get away with varnishing before you're really supposed to, is what I meant. Anyway, so that's a quick answer to that. I'm going to get back on in a minute, but under a different title, just so people can search it later. But yeah, there's my not very short, it turns out, my 10-minute explanation for how I dry my paintings. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I will try to answer them. All right, thanks, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye. Now, how do I turn this off?